Oh, good morning. Okay, we are live. Sorry, I was trying to make sure my battery for my computer was fully charged. It was at 10% earlier this morning. So thank you all of you for joining me here for Educators Drinking Coffee. I'm Juan Castillo, assistant principal here at Pasquotank County High School. I have one of my colleagues here at our school, Miss Lucia Reyes. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Juan.
Good morning. Good morning. Tell us, I know you've actually been with me previously in a broadcast early in the spring last year, where we actually did our broadcast in Spanish, and what's this? But we never had a chance to actually do this in English. But so tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do here at Pasquotank County High School.
All right, so I arrived 2019 to teach Spanish, and actually I'm currently teaching Spanish too. Well, I'm from Colombia too. I'm from a different city where you're from. I'm from Bucaramanga, Santander, but we are close, right?
Yes, we are.
We're close in the map. And well, yeah, do you want me to talk about professionally, Ryan?
Yeah.
Well, I study a major in foreign language teaching. And then I study a Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics to the teaching of foreign languages. And I've been working around, let's say, 13 years now of experience teaching foreign languages. I've been working with university level, undergraduate students, high school, small kids too, like all kind of populations too. Also, I've been working as an academic counselor for the British Council. That's mostly projects. It has to be with projects, academic projects, in everything related to foreign languages, right? Basically that.
Oh, that's awesome, and I love that experience that you have, that you bring here to our school and to our kids. It's diversity is very important, especially in the world we live today. And with somebody with your background, your knowledge, it's really important for the kids to see. You sometimes, and I don't know about you, but I think about this. Having been born in Medellin, Colombia, and I think about, and that's a big city, but never in 1,000 years would I have envisioned myself working here in Elizabeth City. And not a knock against Elizabeth City, but I had no idea Elizabeth City existed till about 15 years ago when I moved to North Carolina. So you just never know where the world will take you, and your experiences can lead you to that. So I don't know if you've sometimes think about that, where you started to where you're at today.
Yeah, no, I've definitely never thought about Elizabeth City. But when I was applying to come here, I received previous offers too, near to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then for any reason, I was not, let's say, attracted to those. But and I've been here, and I think the first time I saw the link, and because they send you a link, and then Miss Crush also interviewed me, and then when you call me after, and then after all that, I think I was, from what I saw, the Google map and everything, the pictures. I also like the weather here, because I think in other parts of the country, it's like snow and it's colder, and I'm not really a big fan of cold, right?
Yeah.
But I like cold, but not that with the snow.
Yeah.
So what I was reading is that here snow is not like a big deal, right?
No, but here's the thing: it's a big deal, but it isn't that. It's a big deal because it doesn't snow very often. So when you start getting the snow flurries, they shut things down, but it doesn't last very long because we don't get that much.
Okay.
It's definitely not like further north where the snow will stay on the ground for weeks and things like that. So
right.
Good. No, it's awesome, and the same thing. You just And we just love that you bring, and you're not just, one faculty member that we have at our school here that's an international faculty. We have another, and another colleague of yours from Colombia too.
Yeah.
We have also two others from Jamaica, international teachers, Mr. Anderson, Ms. McDonald Morgan. We also have other teachers like I believe Mr. Zimmerman, who's from Canada. So we have a great array of people from different parts. And now I might be missing one other person, but who bring that experience here. And I think it's important for our kids to know that there is such a vast world, because as lucky as you and I have gotten to travel and now, live and work in different places where we were born, I hope some of our kids have that experience and see that maybe we bring an interest to Colombia to some of them. Who knows? One day some of them may travel there. And we know, as Colombians, we know when people travel there, many people decide to stay there.
Yeah.
They do love it. So, but anyways, the reason why I brought you in this morning is I wanted to talk to you, especially with your background. And actually, before I do that, because this is drinking coffee, I kind of did it today because I actually left my house a little late. So I stopped by Dunkin' Donuts and got me an iced latte. So for me, it's nothing special. Usually, of course, it is Colombian. And what are you drinking today?
But actually, I'm from Colombia, and everybody gets like shocked at this, but I'm not really a big fan of coffee. So, if you invite me and you give me a coffee and I don't know, I'll drink it, right? Yeah. But it's not like I'm mad about coffee, right?
Yeah.
But I'm drinking hot milk.
Gotcha. Okay, and that is something we drink a lot. No, it's true, and I love coffee too, but it's not something like, oh, I gotta have it in the mornings. It's not something I'm thirsting for. I enjoy. I do think here we drink too much. Well, it's hard to say. In Colombia, you might end up drinking before breakfast, at least in my family, a little cup of coffee.
Okay.
Sometimes in mid-morning, you have another one, and then in the late afternoon. So you end up having about 3 small cups.
Right.
Here, you have these huge cups of coffee. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's all equals out or not, but yeah, it's funny. Oh, I gotta say hi to my mom. Buenos días, madre. Nos está saludando de Medellín, que siempre los jueves viene aquí a saludarme. So yeah, my mom usually shows up here to kind of just say hi in the mornings, as she is back home in Colombia. All right, so the reason I want to bring you this morning, because I wanted to actually talk about reading strategies. The reality is, by the time our kids get to high school, the expectation is they should be already good readers. The reality is we all don't learn the same. There's still some students who struggle. But again, with your background, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, some maybe reading strategies that you have found that have worked for you. And it could be either for young ones or more our teenagers. Just give me your thoughts a little bit about some of the strategies that have worked for you.
Yeah, I think reading, it's a struggle for everyone. I would say for us as teachers, right? Mm-hmm. I also said that. And then reading in a foreign language, I think it's even, you struggle more with that, right?
Yeah.
So when I start teaching, let's say not here in Elizabeth City in Pascoton High School, but when I started teaching, I realized that was one of the things I wanted to focus, because I also wanted to look for ways to improve that in myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things has to be that you give the chance to people to read what they want. That's a very important thing, right? So I know at first, or at the first levels of learning, right? Mm-hmm. To be more in control of activities, right?
Yeah.
But then what you have to do, for example, what I'm doing right now with here at Pascoton High School with my students, it's trying, and also you need to follow a curriculum. So you always need to follow a curriculum. Teachers, we all need to follow a textbook. And if it's a teacher that teaches foreign languages or whatever subject, I think you need to follow a curriculum. You need to follow a textbook, right? So taking all those things into account, what I try to do is first I like to have like a planning stage. So it's very broad. So a planning stage where I can know the students. So for example, I start with forums, right? I first start with forums, even in face-to-face sessions or this remote thing, right? I like to start with forums. Of course, if we were in face-to-face, I will do it a little bit more with another dynamic, right? Different that we have now. But forums, I have seen forums or activities where you give the floor to students. It's not you showing them or telling them this is what we're going to do, right? Of course, you talk about the program, it's different. But when you give the floor to students and they are able to express, you are allowing them and space for them to start showing, because you don't know your group, you don't know your students, right? So with forums, I have discovered that they open themselves. So you have a question, you maybe have some options, right? And then they start open themselves. So me gusta, I like this, or me gusta esto, or I like to read about this, or I remember we read about this, or I remember we touched these topics in the last course, or I want to know about these other things in this course, So from that, you start having like a diagnosis for your students. How are you going to approach? So once the forums are over, what I like to do, at the same time, so what I like to do, it's because that would help in my planning stage, right? So then another thing I like to do is through then 2 presentations at once, right? To start seeing the abilities they have in expressing, because reading is a lot about you expressing in words. So when you talk, it reflects on how you read previously. So some people may say, but why do you trust students to order presentations or talks at once, right? But that gives me a sense to me to see what will be needed in my course, right? For them to refine those skills, and also what is like their speech. So I like to throw them right away to presentation, something very simple, introducing myself faster, right? Of course, because I'm teaching Spanish here, I made it to do it in English and Spanish. And at first, it's shocking, right? Spanish, but no, but how? Were we supposed to read all that in Spanish, Miss Regis? And then I tell them, okay, I'm modeling. That's one important thing. Planning, modeling. So I'll do it first, right? Like setting the example.
Yeah.
All that will have repercussion into reading, right? So planning, then debating, monitoring, and modeling. So I start presenting. So when they see me presenting in Spanish and in English, then I think the anxiety lowers a little bit. Yeah, because they start seeing that it's not like reading a whole, theme, but it's based on what you are. In this case, the topic I choose is introduce yourself, right? Hoster, introducing yourself. So what do you like, what you don't like, your name. Could be simple things like colors, music, hobbies, whatever you want to share, ambitions, right? For example, this semester, I didn't ask for ambitions, right? I think last semester too. And these kids come with amazing posters. I think Miss Lane was in one of my classes. The time we did that, and kids were doing it in English and then in Spanish, and then the ones that didn't wanted to do it to Spanish, then I asked at the end of the presentation, okay, can you read one sentence, the ones you have there in Spanish? And they took the race and they saw, and then after I received some of them comments, that was a very good exercise, Ms. Reyes. I never know I was able to read and talk in Spanish at least little bit.
Yeah.
So that helps them lower levels of anxiety.
And I think one of the things that, from all this, what you're talking about, and I love what you're talking about, because it is very important, the modeling. And I know one thing you talked about, how you quickly go to the oral presentations, and it's true. We all have different backgrounds where we come from, and we have our social norms of how to speak, how to come across. And, as you're learning to read, most of the time when you're reading, in a sense, academic language. The reality is a lot of us don't use academic language in our daily life.
Right.
And, if you haven't been exposed to a lot of reading, you're not going to use academic language. You're going to use the language you've been socially kind of been put in. But so I like that diagnosis part to kind of see, okay, it's kind of like your assessment a little bit of where they're at, what I need to work with, what I have to work with. That's very good. The other part that I like, what you're talking about, that it looks like you're doing is, because I think this is very important in reading, is building confidence. And the fact that, you kind of, you have them do something that they know who they are themselves. Now, I know as young adults, they're still trying to find their identity, but for the most part, they know that maybe I like the color blue, or I like listening to certain type of music. That is things they're sure of. So when the presentation becomes about them, that they know, you're always more comfortable when you're fully knowledgeable of the subject matter that you're presenting. So I like that. I like the fact that, you do that with something that should hopefully give them a sense of confidence. And with confidence comes a little bit more, I think, ability to take a little more risk, to say, okay, I want to know a little bit more of something I don't know. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So I appreciate that with those things that you do. And the modeling part was one thing I was going to bring up. So I'm very happy you kind of brought that up. Very good. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there was anything else I kind of stopped you there. You wanted to share, but I did have another question.
Okay. Yes. So then after that process, then I start with a lot of production, oral production. So simple things like every time I teach a course, let's say in foreign language, I like to start with the minimum thing, right? So the expressions, drilling, that they feel comfortable. Also interruptions among them, right?
Yeah.
Interruptions among them, that it doesn't turn out like I'm talking the whole time, right? And then when we start with reading, because when we start reading, I think, or the concept I used to have before is choose a piece of reading and make the students read, and then some comprehension questions, that's it, right? But then through the time, I have learned that you read the word, right? So if you make your students read around them, or read inside them, or and express, that will help better in the process, because it lowers the level of anxiety. That's the first thing. Then when we come to reading, and they're more serious in reading, what I like to do is start with visual aids. So when I start a unit, then my first thing is, so if you ask me for like kind of schema, so I start with vocabulary, but I start with visual aids, right? Visual aids, and in this visual aids, it could be a video, could be pictures, could be a matching game. I found here kids love here matching games. So even face to face, I actually did that too, and they did love the competition also. Healthy competition, right?
Yeah.
The classroom, right? So I start with vocabulary and visual aids. So I try to put those together. Then after that, I go to also, because I was reading the standards in North Carolina for foreign languages, right? So I was also trying to see how to come up with a kind of make different levels in reading, because there are different levels in reading. They're in Spanish too, but they are at different stages. So what I do is, once we're in a module, they know what we're going to be talking about. Then I start like providing a lot of input in the language
Mhm.
and preparing there for reading, for the actual reading part. So when I choose this part, maybe it takes a little bit more time because I like to prepare the readings, right? So I
Yeah.
start searching and looking for, but I add many elements, right? So I prepare the same reading, right? But with different exercises for them, like a pre-reading part, like again, talking a bit again to them, some questions that they have now to start writing and giving the answers, right?
Yeah.
So I combine reading with writing. And then the same reading exercise, I put it in two levels. Here it's novice mild and the novice low, what I have read.
Mm.
So I divide the same reading and I start making a difference in both groups. So kids that go to, because of all my assessment during this, I think it's the 3 or 4 weeks I spend on that kind of assessment with all those activities.
Mhm.
Then I place kids and I tell them, okay, so based on this, you will be in the novice mild or the novice low. And then I start every reading I assign to them, they already know their group. And each group has different skills I work on.
And then that's great. I mean, I think that's important because differentiation. Um, it's how can I say this? We no longer can just throw out one reading for everybody because again, like we talked about at the very beginning, everybody learns at different paces. You're also cognizant of now that they're trying to pick up a second language, and some kids are going to pick it up faster than others. And some pick up the reading a lot faster than others. Some may pick up the writing faster than others, and all that kind of varies. But I love how you scaffold that ability to them, and that also gives them the ability for the ones that are on the novice low to kind of have an opportunity at some point to try to reach that and I guess novice high group. So that's very important. I appreciate that, and you doing that with your students. Now, are there anything that or strategies while they're reading? Hang on.
Good morning. I think I forgot how to use this thing before your classes start at 8:30.
Oh, we got about 7 minutes.
This is the first time you've been in the building for a while. Welcome. Just want to remind everybody to please make sure they complete that health screen form. It should have been completed before you stepped in the building, and we need to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Make sure you wear your mask all day. Make sure you socially distance at least 6 feet apart, and make sure you wash and sanitize your hands.
All right.
Pictures also, staff members, if you want to get your picture taken, I think I sent that out yesterday. I wanted to make sure kids had a chance to sign up first. I'll send that out again, but please sign up for pictures, and you can't just walk in like we normally do and just step in front of the kids. We have to have a sign up time, and that's going to be in the gym. There was one more thing. I can't remember. Have a great day.
All right. All right. Sorry about that. Before then, I was getting to the point to see if, and I know you have class coming up shortly, but just really quickly, I think it's something I want to continue having. Was this a discussion more with the reading, because I think it's such an important part of the foundation of a student's education, is during the reading. Do you have any strategies you provide your students, when they are in the middle of their reading?
Yes, I like to do a lot of reading aloud. I think so they read in my classes, right? And I listen, and everybody listens, right? And I like to provide them, explaining them like test features, like for example, the glossary. I always put a glossary in there, how to use the glossary. I also try to instruct them how to use the dictionary, well, the digital dictionaries in this case. And I also like to do some critical thinking with them, like having questions closer to the tests, right? But appeals to them.
Gotcha.
So we're reading something about food and the test and everything, but the questions will go, so, okay, what do you like? What do you like to eat? Or what do you think it's better? This Colombian dish, for example, or how you compare this with something that you eat in Elizabeth City. I like to use the environment, their own environment too.
Gotcha.
And I've seen that helps.
Yeah, and I think when you make it relate to something they know, it's easier to kind of to understand, and the comprehension increases. So very good, very good. All right. I mean, I feel like I'm still kind of going to end this a little shorter than I wanted to, Ms. Reyes, but I do want to, have another discussion. I'd love to see if we can bring somebody on and three of us can talk about, some of the things. 'Cause I want to hear, other perspectives, and we all approach reading differently. I was not a reading teacher or an English teacher. I was an art teacher. Okay. So it's really through my experiences in a school administrator that I've learned about reading. Right. And my wife was a reading teacher. So that with your experience. So, like I said, reading at the high school level is different approach than it is. There's some similarities, but it's different than elementary. So even if it's somebody with an elementary background, I'd love to hear that. So with that being said, we're under about 3 minutes before class starts. I do want to thank you for joining me this morning. It's been great. Good morning. Bye. Since we got an announcement, so thank you.